Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of The Aftermath. My name is Ian, and as always, I'm joined by Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, has this been a long time coming.
Real special one.
This is a real special
One that is very near and dear to me.
Yes, you and Ethan both.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that we did an episode on the OVA compilation movie that we did, right?
I think we did.
We did?
I'm pretty sure.
Well, we're watching the entire show.
Mhm.
Gurren Lagann.
Oh, yes.
And for those of you
Tengen
who...
Toppa.
Dude, heaven piercing.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a lot of things about the episodes we watched so far.
Mhm.
There's only been, I think, a couple episodes that got cut out of that OVA for the first portion.
Right.
And I actually want to do, now that you said that we potentially did an episode on this, I'm curious, and I want to do some...
Right, nothing wrong with a little
retracing.
Let's see. In case anyone's already heard. Or takeaways.
Actually, I don't believe we have.
Wait, for real?
Correct.
Oh my god. I could have sworn.
Well, hold on. Let's do a little,
Mhm,
do a little more of a deep dive.
All right.
Would we have called it something different? Or would it just have been called Gurren Lagann?
I mean, it would have, unless it was the movie titles. Maybe
I
not.
don't believe it would.
Yeah, because I mean, it would have had to have included Gurren Lagann in the title.
That's what I think as well, and I think it's Gurr.
Mm-hmm. E-N.
No, I get to Gur, and ain't
Gur.
nothing. Gur.
Damn.
I get to 2 R's, still nothing. So
Okay, I guess we never recorded.
we just watched it for us, and
Damn.
So now that we have finished all the other anime, all the other shows we've been watching, we finished Bleach,
Or at least the ones we had to put on hold.
for
now.
now. Well, let's not talk about that because I still really badly want to watch G Gundam.
Mm-hmm. One of these days.
One of these days. We finished Bleach, or however much we have of Bleach. We finished the entire show and all the OVAs for the Irresponsible Captain Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we're moving on to, Dylan threw out there, he's like, what's going to be the next show? I think I asked, what's going to be the next show we're going to watch? What's the next thing on the list that, we're going to try and chip our way through?
The big one.
And then
the biggest one.
Dylan
Literally.
said, right, he's got the collector's edition.
The nascent era
This
collection.
big old box.
One of my pride and joys.
So cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's truly an installation.
Oh, yeah.
And I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I walk into his room one afternoon, or I forgot what we were talking about, or but he's like, so what if,
I think the time is now.
per se, we were to watch all of Gurren Lagann?
Mm-hmm.
Because again, as we've stated previously at the beginning of this episode, I have watched with Dylan
the movies,
which is I get I think an OVA compilation, which takes out some of the kind of filler stuff /
trims the fat.
Yeah. I think so far from what we've watched, it has taken out some side character intro stories. Nothing too crazy, but
kept all the essentials in there.
Right. So far, before I get too far ahead of myself, I also asked Dylan, I was like, okay, so a lot like what we did with Bleach, how do we want to separate this into parts? Because if we're going to do this for the podcast, I want to have at least some guiding lines for myself as to what is how many parts of this episode we're going to have, and how many episodes is that going to facilitate, and all the context, all the stuff that the nitty gritty stuff. Gurren Lagann is 27 episodes, and we did the math. And if you divide 3 into 27, you get 9. So we were like, okay, so if we do a 3-part series, we can watch 9 episodes each, and we can keep it at 3 parts. Which I was like, hey, that's
good enough.
It's a good enough. It's a bit of a binge. I think
but it's worth it. If ever there is a show to binge that is worth binging,
yes,
it is Gurren Lagann.
So we did the math, and it was probably going to be right around 3 hours. We've already watched 2 episodes before. So we just finished up the rest of the 7 that we needed. So we watched the first 9 episodes.
Oh, yes.
Which I forgot how much happens in the first third of this show.
Yep.
There's a lot. And we'll get into that a little bit.
Right.
We're gonna get into some stuff here. But I want to kind of talk about some more external things from the show. I remember a time whenever you and Ethan watched this show, and if I'm not mistaken, I think this is like one of the first animes that you were really able to get Ethan on.
Yeah.
Like Ethan was like not to say he was like a hater of anime, but he
was just not an enjoyer of it.
And I think in his defense, like a lot of the anime he was talking about is
the stereotypical stuff.
Yes, sometimes
the stuff that you would not watch in front of like anybody.
You're
ever,
right.
Unless you wanted to out yourself as some sort of
weirdo
loser type of geek.
Yeah, someone who maybe smells weird and looks funny.
Yeah.
To give a little callback.
Right. Not a demographic I'd want to associate myself with.
Right. A little fan servicey, a little cringe.
Right.
So that was his
obnoxious, some may say.
There you go. And so
that's why we're highlighting one of the worst possible examples.
No. So what I'm saying is, like, again, that was Ethan's perception of it.
Right.
Was that kind of I'd say stereotype. Some of it is, there's a stereotype for a reason. Not going to say that's not all of it. There are some really great anime out there that we have covered. Right, exactly. There's a stereotype for a reason, but that doesn't make it 100%.
Yeah, it's just a unfortunately prominent aspect of it.
So, the reason I'm saying that is that the fact that, like, not only were you able to get Ethan to watch a whole show with you, but for him to, like, fall in love with it, was it Gurren Lagann or was it G Gundam first?
Gurren Lagann.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yes,
but I wasn't sure because I think that was the caveat.
G Gundam would have been a way fucking harder sell if he hadn't seen Gurren Lagann.
And that's what I'm saying. I believe you to be right.
Oh yeah.
Because that's in my mind. That's how that was the jumping off point.
Right.
You were like, if you love this, you gotta
fucking love this.
I need you to lock in with me on this next one.
Right.
Which is funny because I think the kind of person that Ethan is, I think he likes it to be a little funny, a little goofy, a little crazy. Which So, anyways, the reason I'm saying that is I remember a time whenever you were watching this with him and he was falling in love with it, and I was like, I'm surprised. I mean, I'm surprised a little bit, but at the same time, it's Dylan and his suggestions and knowing people. I'm also like not 100% surprised because, like, I just know that you've done the very same thing for me where I'm like, I just don't know. And then, of course, I'll sit there and I'm like, holy shit.
Stick with me on this.
Yeah. You're like holding there, champ.
Just wait.
And I'm like, you know what? You got a point. This is pretty cool shit.
Since he has finished the show, it has remained his number one.
Really?
Very rarely ever under threat of being supplanted by anything else.
I believe it. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So what I'm saying is that I remember a time whenever you showed me the OVA movies, the compilation films.
Right.
And I also loved it. But I remember that, like, you showed me some clips of, like, the finale.
Oh, yeah.
Like far before my viewing of the show. And, like, I remember, because of the fact, again, as we have
my crimes continue to go unpunished.
As we have stated on this show before, a lot of times I like the idea of the compilation films. Sometimes with some of the side characters or some of the subplots, it does kind of feel a bit wonky to have it just be like boom, bam, wham, here we are.
Right.
For obvious reasons, because we're missing a lot of context.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. So I remember watching this a while back.
Right. It was a long time ago.
And I remember, like, I was like, okay, I like this, like, core of the show.
Right.
But I do feel like I'm
core
missing...
drill, if you would.
There you go. And I will. But I remember, like, the show just keeps progressing.
Oh, yeah.
The show always ones up itself.
Nowhere to go but up.
Nowhere to go but up.
Coming through the underground.
Literally from underground, living in tunnel caves,
Right.
subterranean human beings, scared of the outside world, of the surface of the planet.
For good reason.
Of course. Going up to the surface,
Spells certain doom.
stealing robots, stealing battleships, somehow getting into space, conquering space, and then going into conquering the universe.
Right.
It's a natural progression. And just when you think other shows may say, I'm going to conquer space one day, and you're like, good on you, champ. Way to think big.
Right.
And like you never really get there, but it's just like the idea of like,
it's good to have ambitions.
He really did it all. And he may as well have, but it's like, not like
there is no figurative sense here. They mean everything.
They mean
literally.
yes. At a certain point in time, when we get big enough in this show, which if you stick with us for these next 3 parts of this series, you will see. We will dig in deep.
Oh yeah.
That like it just gets bigger in a great way, in a very emotional way, and boy howdy, these first 8 or 9 episodes were, I think, a great like first act to this franchise, this series. Before we get really in the nitty gritty of the episodes here, I never realized this.
Yeah.
In the viewing of the compilation films Once Upon a Time, but now having learned more about the Warhammer 40K universe, and learning more about how the orcs work in that universe, for those of you who are uneducated by the
great powers that be, Gork and Mork.
Yes, correct. The Warhammer 40K lore of the orcs is that they have this very special ability that, like, whatever they believe is reality.
Right. If enough of them believe in one thing, it will be real and true.
Correct. If they believe that just holding scrap together it justifies it becoming a ship, it will be a functioning ship, even if by all the laws of the universe say that it's not true. If they think that this thing, amalgamation of stuff, is a gun, it is going to be
it's
a gun.
It's going to shoot bullets.
Yeah, right. And I love that, but I also hate that because it's also the fact that they're also dumb enough to not realize their true power.
Right. So they'll never take full advantage of it.
No. And it's also they are always infighting, I think, a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
So they're never quite fully unified.
They love a good crumping.
Exactly. There's so they are a bit nerfed by themselves. Right. So that's why I think I feel a little bit better is that it
balances out.
It balances out.
Right.
They're just dumb enough to make it really cool.
Right.
The reason why I'm establishing that is upon viewing these first few episodes, Kamina, are one of our main protagonists.
Is an orc.
From the Warhammer. I swear to you, he believes hard enough in something, and I'm talking every single other human being in this show is a realist.
Being a stubborn fight being is a matter of principle to him.
100%.
He does not run away. He always looks his opponent in the eyes before he slugs him.
Oh yeah,
it's the
it
quintessential.
It seems
hard-headedness.
Like every single person is a logical, normal human being. Right. Is what it feels
comparatively
like, compared to him. And it's funny because everyone's like, "There's no way that's going to happen," and you, as the viewer, are also like, "You're correct."
Right.
Even if I suspend my disbelief in this show, like the fact that like the other normal people are also saying that will never happen, you're like, "Okay, that's normal. It will never." And then
when it comes to Kamina, he's just like, "Fucking watch me."
He's like, "I bet."
Right. Yeah.
I will pierce through this and make it happen. And they're like,
funny you should say that, but check this out.
Yeah.
Giga drill break out of fucking nowhere.
100%. And you're like, all right.
Okay, sure.
So then
You did it.
So it very quickly becomes I think that he's some sort of god of this universe. Just a little bit.
Right.
I think
the beginnings of one at the very least.
I think it's the same thing of the orcs. He's just stubborn enough and probably just short-sighted enough where he can't see his full potential. But I get scared of a version of Kamino where like he has full perspective on his true power, and he can just manifest anything into existence. He can just think hard enough and can make anything happen. But he's just nerfed enough to where you're like, oh man. And I just wanted to say that because after the first few episodes, I was like, man, this
guy's crazy.
But I like it, and I think it's wacky and it's fun.
Oh yeah,
and it definitely feels in that kind of spectacular, superstitious kind of way, and I like it. So I wanted to say that because that was one thing. That was the big takeaway from watching these few episodes. I was like, Kamina is a 40k orc. Just what it is.
Yep.
All his goes wog and
fucking magic. Happens.
100%.
If he, which he does, he gathers enough people behind his banner,
100%,
and starts a fucking wog,
and that's it. So now we can kind of get into the the nitty gritty details if you want to.
I feel like it's the progression is pretty concise enough that it's fairly straightforward,
right?
As far as like just how the story progresses with these first few episodes.
Exactly.
I felt like it may have. I was worried it was going to be too much to tackle at once, but I mean it's really not that much whenever you break it down.
Right. The first episode is Bust Through the Heavens with Your Drill.
Damn straight.
And so again, our guy, which the spelling of it looks like Simon,
right?
But
it is pronounced Simon.
Yes, Simon. And so he is technically our main character.
Right.
We start off with him. He's the young boy character, and we have this, as we've talked about already before. Kamina is this. They're both orphans, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
And so they kind of have a shared bond, and Kamina kind of takes to calling him his younger brother, and kind of taking him underneath his wing,
right?
And it's really awesome.
Not related by blood, but brothers of the soul.
Exactly. And so we get a cool you're right. The progression of these episodes and the enemies we see and the struggles they face, it really does increase as we go along subtly.
Oh yeah.
But like we get this cool depiction of like life underground, like many kind of dystopian, like sci-fi-esque shows have done in the past.
Right.
There's like a massive expanse of tunnels. There's a leader, kind of like an overseer.
Humanity, as we know it, has been reduced
in
some manner by some means we're yet unaware of.
Of course. And it seems like they've been down here for long enough, like at least a generation or two, like only has known the underground lifestyle.
And that's it. Very basic living. Certain restrictions placed on resources because of how scarce everything is.
Of course. But at the same time, like even like the older folks, the adults or the parents or grandparents know of a life up at the surface, but not really. So it feels,
depending on who you ask.
Yeah, it feels recent enough. It's not like it's so far removed. And even in Kamina, his father apparently got out,
right,
and was able to go onto the surface, and he was able to like
just fucking left him.
What I think that he was going to invite his son to go, but his son hesitated, and he's like, "All right, I'm just going to go." And
wasn't quite up for it yet.
Right.
A blessing in disguise.
Oh, yeah, right. But they live a mundane life of digging tunnels and doing that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
And then in the very beginning, Simone finds the drill necklace, the key.
Oh yes. To freedom.
The key to freedom, literally. And there's like constant earthquakes and things happening that kind of are like, make things suspicious. And then we get kind of a flash of Simone's parents
being buried alive
underneath one of these earthquakes by collapsing tunnels and things like that.
They treat it like a foregone conclusion that the ceiling will eventually collapse and kill everyone.
Right.
At least in his mind, that's how it is.
Yeah. And so that we get, again, we're establishing like some roots in this world in an interesting way. And then after some more digging, he finds this like face in the rubble.
Those big old mugs.
Yeah. And through some crazy turns of events, there's
after an escape attempt, Kamina is put into jail.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, after he roped Simone into helping out.
He really is like the rebel. Like,
oh yeah,
we gotta get out of here.
He's sick of it, and he ain't fucking having it anymore.
It reminds me of if you've ever played Fallout 3. Fallout 3's story kind of feels a little bit like that in some way.
Yeah,
where like the dad figure, you don't know this upon the start of the game, but like your dad is from the outside and was able to convince the overseer to let you and your father inside. And so like you were raised from a baby inside the vault, so you think you guys were just in there. Whenever he gets old enough and he has to leave, you're like, holy shit, what's going on?
I am a miscreant no longer.
Yeah. And of course, then that starts a whole riot where like, you then can follow in your dad's footsteps and you have to go. So like in some turn of events, like you have this young man in Kamina, like who has had a taste of the outside and knows what could be
a brief glimpse,
and is like, I gotta get out of here.
He's held on to it
and
for all these years,
and he's trying to like rile everybody else up.
I love the early characterization of these two, Kamina and Simone, because it is a complete like polar opposite dichotomy, whereas Kamina is the hot-headed, like pure tenacity driven man. Simone is this meek little guy who's like concerned with safety above all else, and like before the main event happens and they're able to bust out, there's another quake, like a few tremors that happen, and immediately everybody starts freaking out and screaming for their holes. Kamina just fucking stands there.
Oh,
he ain't budging. He's like, I don't run away. Simone, meanwhile, is having a fucking panic attack, trying to get him to come to his senses and run.
He's having flashbacks, of his parents dying.
Yeah, so already, between the two, it's one of my favorite interactions. Yeah, where he snaps, like Kamina snaps too after seeing Simone like freak out, and he's like, "Oh my god, I fucking forgot. I'm sorry." And it's the fucking best, dude. I love their bond so much.
And that builds throughout these episodes.
Oh yeah.
I love the progression of how we meet the other what are they called? Gunmen? Gunmen.
Yeah.
I almost called them Gundams, but I stopped myself. The other gunmen, the first time we meet one, it's like this wolf-headed thing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's gigantic.
Almost like a bull with a big-ass toothy maw. And a huge club.
Yeah. And I have to say this. This creature comes plummeting from the ceiling and is like and falls down.
Oh yeah, smack dab in the middle of the village.
All and like breaks all the bridges and all this stuff happens, and like so there's like a big opening to the outside, and Kamina takes this as his opportunity to be like, see there is a surface, and
I fucking knew it.
Yeah. This is our chance to get out of here.
And immediately after, he steps up to this big fucking demon that fell from the sky and is like, you got some fucking balls stepping into my neighborhood, bitch.
Yep.
And starts mouthing off like he's going to fight this thing and win.
Oh, yeah. Like it's not a huge, toothy demon visage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so fucking funny.
So, and then as this takes place, a young woman jumps down and begins to fire with this
pelting this thing with
this
bullets,
massive ass rifle, and we are introduced to Yoko.
Oh, yes.
And I forgot that we were introduced to her, first episode.
The very beginning.
And I love Yoko.
Mm-hmm. You and everybody else.
I have known in the past, not knowing a lot about the show, to be honest, not gonna lie, without even knowing the name of the anime, I know.
You had seen the character.
I had seen the character.
I see.
I had seen pictures. I had seen like art books or whatever, or something like that with her in it, or something. I have seen depictions of her,
right?
And people absolutely falling in love with her,
of course.
And I had numerous reasons to see visually why that they would fall in love with her,
right.
But even in these first few interactions, I'm like, she's fun.
She's awesome.
She's awesome.
She's
a great
cool.
character, and there's a great companion to this kind of interesting trio.
Yeah.
And I feel like, it really is the normal piece to this two sides of a coin kind of thing. Is the middleman.
You've got an orc, a fidgety little goblin with a drill, and then the normal woman with a fucking rifle.
Yeah. The person, I love her. And so these first few interactions are very funny, are very lighthearted, and I just love the fact I love the interactions between Yoko and Kamina.
Oh yeah,
I love that
they're hilarious.
I love how much he just objectifies her. It's ridiculous, really. But I think it's funny more than anything else.
At first, he's all super excited to see her for obvious reasons, which he is not shy at all about saying.
No.
But as soon as he finds out that she's also from the underground, he does a complete heel. It's like, man,
you're not even
fuck
cool.
it.
Yeah,
right.
I must say, for Kamina's sake, is that if a young woman was to show up in my neck of the woods dressed like that, absolutely slinging a rifle like that around,
right? How could you possibly ignore that?
I'm sorry, but I would find it hard.
It's impossible.
I would find it hard not to say a few things that I'd be a little bit embarrassed by.
Oh my god!
Or I'm just acting like a fool because that's just who I am
in a life or death situation, especially.
100%.
I don't know if I'm going to die within the next minute.
Nope.
I'm going to say what I need to say.
Yeah. And right now, you and me here underground, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
All day.
Jesus.
And so I love their interactions, and it's very funny. But eventually they ended up making it out to the surface.
Right.
And they have this
in
really
spectacular fashion.
Beautiful.
Simon initially, before this happened, was trying to bust Kamina out of jail and show him what he had found underground.
Right.
That being Lagann.
Yes.
I don't know where Kamina's inspiration for that came from, but I guess it just sounded cool.
We
in
don't.
his head.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it means something in Japanese or something like that, or if it means something or it's just a cool name.
It's probably just a made up name.
Probably so.
Yeah.
But you're right though. They upon seeing its face, he's like, we'll call it Lagann, and he's like, why? And he's like, because
I just came up with it.
And it's like, I couldn't come with anything else. Let's call him Rusty.
Yeah. Even if heaven and earth tolerates your brutality, the mighty Lagann does not.
Yeah, no. And dude, I just love him as a character.
A man's got a silver tongue, dude. He can string it together like nobody's business.
We'll get to this later. There's a few episodes where he really is just like
the hype man.
100%. But even it just feels like he's like the devil on your shoulder all the time.
Right.
Is what it feels like. But he's just personified.
He's definitely a loose cannon.
And I love it. He's a wild character.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, so the reason why I brought up the fact that I love the progression of the bad guys is this bull or this wolf-headed, horned...
This monster.
This monster creature that's a gunman. Very much bigger than Lagann himself.
Oh yeah,
which is just a head with arms and legs. Really,
yeah.
This feels larger than life and huge.
Oh yeah,
they're able to take it out, but it's not without putting up a fight.
Oh yeah,
But like as we progress on, like those are just cannon fodder, and there's
a grunt.
Like a grunt,
the equivalent of a grunt,
and there's numerous of them that like they're taking out, which again we'll get to later. They end up getting out, and then upon that, they're like able to just like. There's these like great moments where like Kamina is like look up at the sky, look up at the stars, like. And like the encouragement that he has towards Simone, which is like, you are going to be the one to pierce through the heavens with that drill of yours. And it's like, oh man, especially if you know where this is going.
It hits
without
harder.
spoiling anything, without getting ahead of ourselves. Like as we've already stated, this show only increases. So you can imagine there's going to be a point where our boy Simone's going to conquer the universe.
The fucking heavens.
Yes, at the very minimum. And he says something, I think in this first episode, or maybe in the first 2 episodes, where he says a very interesting thing, and he says it a couple different ways, and it always stuck with me, even whenever we watched it long time ago, and then even now, is the very basic version of what he says is,
don't believe in yourself.
Yes.
Believe in me.
Yeah.
Believe in the me that believes in you.
Yes. Believe in the me that believes in you. And that's like something that's very, like, at first it feels a little goofy to say. It feels like goofy to hear a little bit. But whenever like you really think about it, like there have been people that I like worked with, or like people that have like looked up to me in a certain way that I think like I may be like the leader over this job or this project or whatever, or I may be like maybe not the one in charge, but like there are people that are like they believe in me that I'm going to get this done.
It's a roundabout road of self-confidence.
Yes.
Like I can only imagine if this motherfucker,
this
magnanimous, nigh unstoppable man believes in me.
Yeah.
I'm set.
Who am I to say that that's
I can
not,
do fucking anything.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I'm saying by this is like there's moments where like I may feel like I'm inadequate for this job, or I don't feel like I have all this stuff I need to get it done. But like I know there are people that believe that like, oh, Ian's got this covered. Ian can definitely do this.
Right.
And I'm like,
maybe I can.
I may not be able to believe myself, but I can believe in the person that they think that I am. That they think that they have this person that like.
I got expectations.
And at that point, I'm like, you know what? I can do this.
Yeah.
I got this. And I don't know. I'm not saying that that's everybody. I'm not saying that's, I know there's obviously situations where that doesn't always factor
different strokes for different folks.
But hearing that sometimes for me, it does kind of change my perspective and realize like, you know what? Maybe
just a little,
yeah, you know, maybe I can do this.
Yeah.
But this obviously being like almost like a caricature of like that kind of that thing I just described. Like it's a larger than life version of it. Like you said, you have this very meek,
kick logic to the curb and do the impossible.
Especially when you got Mr. Orc himself, who could like literally just manifest anything he wants into existence.
His belief in me grants me power.
Literally, he believes in me so much. You know what? I think I'm actually doing it. I'm already there.
Oh yeah.
So and I love that. He says it a couple different ways, and I can't quite remember it verbatim. I don't want to butcher it, but you're right. You said the kind of simplified version that I was thinking of
believe in the Simone that I believe in.
Exactly, right. And it's like, oh, I love that. I just love it. It's encouraging, it's fun, and it is uplifting, I think, to a certain degree.
Oh, yeah.
And I think
without a doubt.
I think it also helps, like, not only, again, this may just be a personal thing. I'm not going to speak on everyone else's behalf. But for me, not only does it encourage me to hear that like someone believes me like that, but it also makes me feel like you're also there with me. Like the fact that it's not just you saying something to uplift me and to make me feel good about myself, but it's also you saying like, I'm here with you.
Yeah.
I have so much faith in you. I have so much love for you that like, I believe you can do this. So it's so much more than just like, I can tell you want to encourage me. It's also like, you are also here with me in this moment, which I think is something really special.
It just hits a bit harder than a simple you can do it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel like we're really side by side in this. And so, and as a person that like has tried over the past handful of years to like really learn how people work and like how to encourage people and how to love people and how to like really be, you know, when you have to deal with people, when you have to manage people,
Yeah.
and when you have to, are in that level of management or authority, like you really are. I have realized in my adult life, this is kind of a tangent, but it really does, I think, roundaboutly work with this, is I've tried to like research and do and teach myself and take some courses and things like that, and glean some inspiration from works like this of like, it gets to a certain point, even in creative spheres, when the team gets big enough, when you have enough people, you're no longer doing like the thing itself. You're managing the people doing the thing, and so like everything ends up being a business of people, whether it be sales, whether it be retail work, whether it be whatever. You're dealing with people, and you're dealing with people's emotions and feelings and thoughts, and it can always be messy.
Yeah.
And I've always tried to like learn new ways to just like. I have realized that when you surround that for me, if I surround myself with talented people that are good at what they do, it not only uplifts them, it not only uplifts me, it makes me look good to have all these people like doing like this project together that we're all like doing our best at, and we're all like really good at these certain areas. But it also helps, like if I'm able to encourage them and love them and make them feel appreciated,
right? I'm
always finding new ways to like think about that, of being like, it's more than just a job, or it's more than just, whatever it is. It's I don't know how to encourage people and make them feel appreciated and wanted, and because I think it's going to help us all out in the long run, and it's going to put our best foot forward, especially in creative worlds.
Right.
I've been in some creative spheres where all the inspiration and joy is sucked out of a project so fast. We were like, man, I kind of had some cool...
This is a fucking slog.
I kind of had some cool ideas for this, but now like I just don't have any motivation.
Right.
And that's a hot...
Tapped out, Chief. I got to get out of this fucking ring.
100%. And so it's...
they kicked my fucking ass.
So to have like someone in a... Because I've worked underneath people that are like that, but are also in the opposite, that are like really encouraging and really loving and really like, you know what? I have faith that you know what you're doing. Go do what you do best.
Right.
Make it happen.
There's overt and obnoxious optimism.
Yeah.
And then there's some real fucking shit.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, so there's been, I've been receiving side of both of it. And I've realized that like, I feel like I've done better work in a team full of people that have been like, you did a pretty good job. And I appreciate your hard work. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'm doing all right.
Thanks.
Yeah. And if someone was to look at me and say, believe in the you that I believe in, you're like, oh shit, all right, maybe
damn, all right, fine.
Maybe I can do the impossible right now. Anyways.
Maybe I can see the invisible. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Maybe I can, I don't know.
Maybe I can row.
Maybe I can manifest some shit in this
Maybe
world.
fight the power a little bit.
So, side tangent aside, like I do, even though it's funny, even though it's crazy, like there are some
genuine inspirational takeaways from it.
Right. At least for me.
Some of which have stuck with me personally, like since I was first introduced to the series.
Right. When were you first introduced to the series?
Oh my God.
How long ago was that?
It
debuted in 2007, 2008.
It was fucking years, man. I honestly can't remember. I want to say the first time I watched it was it was with my youngest sister.
Okay.
But holy shit, that was what it feels like decades ago.
we talking Toonami?
No, I don't think. I'm not sure it actually ever aired on Toonami.
Really?
At least not that I remember. But this was back when I want to say some streaming sites, completely legal, by the way, were still kicking around. It was back in like junior high. I saw this.
Yeah.
And man.
Episode 1, the English air date was July of 2008. So if you're watching it whenever it came out, you're talking 2008.
It was definitely after that.
I was going to say, yeah. So, still.
Yeah.
But anyways, we get on to episode 2. I said I'm going to pilot that thing.
Oh my God, dude.
This is... Again,
Episode 2 is one of my favorites.
If I thought that Kamina had orc powers in episode 1, it was 100% reinforced by episode 2.
Looted gunman.
Yeah.
It's exactly what he fucking does.
Crazy. They, in this episode, end up taking Yoko back to her home village.
Littner.
And we get some more world building that they have gotten out of their subterranean village.
Everything is new to them.
Yes. But they were able to stumble across like a weapons cache and use that.
Yeah. People got guns. There's a small militia.
Right. And I love them. They're awesome.
Oh, yeah. Dayaka is a standout right away.
Yes.
This big fucking Hulk of a man.
What a champ. The unofficial leader of the people, I feel like. As opposed to Yoko, who is kind of their front man.
One of their aces.
Yeah. They find themselves assisting and defending against new gunmen.
A couple of cronies.
Yeah.
Wreaking havoc.
And apparently we get to learn more about what the Beastmen are.
Yeah.
Which I guess is like the opposing force in this world, which I guess have made the human beings go subterranean.
Right.
Or I guess one of the many reasons why.
It's a race of animalistic beings that have since oppressed and subjugated humanity.
Yeah.
Or just straight up killed them at any opportunity. As long as they stay underground, they're relatively safe, but anything more, like even if it's just an accident, they will be killed on sight if any of these beastmen see them.
Is on sight with the Beastmen.
Right.
So we get like 2 little cronies, and we get another guy in a red suit that looks pretty cool. And then from the very beginning,
Comedy's like, I want that shit.
I like that one's face.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, you kind of saying that a little bit weird. And he's like, I want that one. And you're like, all right.
Right, go for it.
And the funny thing is that everyone else is kind of saying that. Everyone's like, all right, whatever, Kamina. And I obviously, as a person who knows kind of what happens, I'm seeing this going, that man's manifesting his destiny right there. He's just sitting there going like, I'm going to take that. Ooh, that one's a pretty one. I'm going to have that one.
He's a man of his word.
Yep. And sure enough,
with the help of his brother,
upon whooping some ass.
Yeah, he forces open the cockpit, and Kamina takes his little pistol pea shooter that Yoko gave him, holding it backwards, money, because he doesn't know how a gun works.
Of course.
Just yet.
He's trying his best.
Right. But he is able to commandeer this thing, not without a bit of difficulty first.
And this is what I'm talking about. He sits down in the pilot seat, holds onto the controls, and they're like...
His little icon pops up on the display with an anti-Kamina symbol.
Yes, and they're like, human being? No.
Nah, get out.
Ain't happening.
Right.
And all he has to do is believe hard enough. And the suit's like... Yeah, you know, maybe it's all right.
Gives it a little tough love.
Yeah.
Physical therapy.
Hitting it doesn't do anything. He hits it, but like nothing really kicks in until he's like, I gotta have it.
Right. He sees a human skull.
Yeah.
Like on the ground.
Yes.
Starts having a crisis.
Yep.
Facing his own mortality.
Like a crisis.
Oh yeah.
Like a Shinji going berserk crisis where like the screen's changing colors and he's like he's like having a moment, and I'm like, my man's tripping.
Yeah. And then we see one of the hands of this gunman like smash that fucker into the ground.
Yeah.
And then he's got it.
Oh yeah. That's all it took.
Oh yeah.
Believe hard enough
and you'll get it. Got to show your fighting spirit to prove yourself worthy of the machine. I
don't think you know this, but when I say something's mine, it will eventually be mine.
Right.
All things in time. This too shall
this
pass.
This machine included.
Yes.
The world, my fucking oyster, bro.
Yeah. And I'm here to shuck it, baby. So yeah. That's kind of what takes place. We get some more understanding of what these beastmen are, what's going on with all that stuff. We get this
Kamina's naming convention for his moves.
Super great. Again, same thing. He straight up names this thing Gurren.
Yeah.
He's like, this is my Gurren.
I guess so. Sure.
And thus, the Gurren to his Lagann.
Mm-hmm.
And
the double threat.
And there we are, episode 2. We have the name of the show.
Yep.
What it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much what. But the thing is, like, obviously, with them, they don't end up killing the cronies, or at least not. Was it just one of them?
Oh no, they do.
Okay, yeah.
They kill both of them, but the one they hijacked Gurren from,
that's what it was.
Survives and
I was
going to
say someone ends up surviving and running off
Mm-hmm.
to go tell the rest of the higher ups that
That's right.
he got his ass whooped and his thing is stolen now.
Mm-hmm.
What
the fuck do you mean?
Yeah. So wait a second. And another interesting thing that happens is that it may be in the next episode.
Mm-hmm.
We get the them hitting the ground. The beastmen and their gunmen end up hitting the ground and end up causing like a bit of a earthquake, a tremor.
Yeah.
And then Simone
starts putting it together.
Yeah.
These tremors are awfully similar to the ones that caused the earthquake that killed my fucking parents.
Yep.
So
he gets a little unhinged.
He's angry.
And then this is where even this is episode 2. We're getting more understanding as to how this stuff works.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure about Gurren specifically, the one that Kamina pilots, but Simone's that is powered by the drill necklace,
right,
is heavily
influenced by his mental state and emotions.
Yes. His passion, his anger, his frustration, his sadness.
Right.
Wink,
if
wink.
either one of these, any of them is out of whack, the machine ain't gonna function properly.
Right. If he ain't locked in,
he's locked out.
Yeah, literally, or it's at half mass.
Right.
It's like he's definitely he's not quite giving it full thrust.
Yeah.
And to say that because there's that moment whenever he realizes that this is probably the cause of what killed his parents,
and he immediately flies off the handle.
And the like almost like a loading bar is like a spiral of like loading like pips that that fill up this like
you get a
gauge.
full charge.
Yeah. So you have like the spiral, like the drill hole is in the center, like a key fob. You turn like a key, like a normal key for the ignition. But then there's like this spiral design of like little rectangles that kind of spiral out.
The meter moves to and fro.
Exactly. It goes back and forth. But the second he realizes that, he's like, and then the meter fills up completely.
Off the charts.
And he's like,
yeah.
He's going wild. And then I'm almost certain that I don't remember what Kamina says exactly, where he says this is the super ultra drill throw
the fastball special.
Yeah, fastball special.
The Lagann impact.
Yeah, and he hucks Lagann, which
like a speeding bullet.
Yes, which turns his feet into a drill because obviously,
it's the perfect weapon.
Yes, they all dodge him, and of course he ends up like digging holes and
he just turns right around, comes back through and pierces through.
Absolutely blitzes them.
Oh yeah, exploded.
Yeah. Explosionated into 6 hextillion little beastman pieces. Yeah, and that's the end of that. Episode 3.
A bit more development.
Who do you think you are, having 2 faces?
I'll tell you who.
Viral, which again, it's by the spelling of it, looks like it's viral, so close enough.
Pronunciation is
exactly
all over the fucking place.
It's all right.
But this motherfucker right here.
So obviously, Bozo from episode 2 runs off after he gets his gunman stolen.
Some whack ass ape man,
like an absolute simp.
Yeah, Sam Squamch. And
so they call him the big guns. They're out there minding their own business,
resources,
hunting
food. Yeah,
right. And this toothy mug shows up.
Oh yeah, he's got a grill.
He got them triangle teeth.
Big ass claws.
Yeah,
it's a cool design.
He is, in fact, a beast man.
Mm-hmm.
Apt.
Oh, yeah. He's real proud of it, too.
Oh, yeah.
Will not hesitate to talk the finest smack he ever did here.
Yep.
Even he recites his station, the the fucking theater of war he's in.
Yeah.
His position, all sorts of crazy shit.
And the fact that the other human beings know the like time slot, like they say that these beastmen will attack in the morning time. So the fact that like this has
crack of dawn.
Right. The fact that this is like the afternoon is like strange.
Right. A bit out of place.
Yeah. But then he kind of states that like, I am here to take out you guys. I've been hired specifically to be like the
heard tell
assassin.
of a rebel faction.
Exactly. They would have been stealing gunmen.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of like the bounty hunter of sorts, where he's coming in to collect and you know like take out this. He's not just some lackey. Mm-hmm. He's a decorated guy.
Right. An officer for all intents and purposes.
Right. So he's coming in to fix the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so this crazy fight ends up showing up.
Oh,
and,
yeah. And he's just wiping the floor with our boys.
Yeah.
Cannot be stopped.
And I love how ridiculous this is. Sorry for the microphone. I just love how ridiculous this is that like we get, if I'm not mistaken, this is where we see that like he has like this like crested helmet, which looks kind of like a second head, but not really. And so Kamina has it in his mind that like, well, I can have a crested helmet second head too.
After losing their first bout with this guy, narrowly escaping the fucking death beam that comes from this helmet.
Crazy.
They get ready for a rematch.
Yes.
Tomorrow. After which, I mean, like Simon's had it. Like he was barely hanging on with like keeping this this fighting spirit going.
Yeah.
So,
because at this point, he's still like really new to piloting this thing.
Right.
So like we even still, like I said before, like from the first episode, we kind of see that like the lackeys are like pretty tough, but they're able to kind of hold their own.
Right.
And so now that we have like a one up of like the difficulty of enemy type, like them, they're not quite locked in yet, which makes sense and it feels natural.
Yeah.
As you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
After that point, Kamina gives him the old pep talk.
Yeah.
It's like, I need you to lock in, buddy.
Buddy.
You know who to believe in.
Yeah.
But at that point, Yoko, seeing how Simon is faring in this current scenario, she's like, no, we got to get him out of there.
Yeah, no.
He ain't going to be able to do it. And Kamina's like, no, that's my fucking brother.
Yeah. He's going to do it.
He's sticking with me. He can do it. But
which I do like that. At a certain point in time, like it is nice to see like the
unshakable belief.
Yes.
In this little boy.
Yeah.
To see them through the day.
But I love the fact that also like he won't allow they were able to at this point in time they were able to like shove Lagann into the top of Gurren's head.
Right.
Which like actually somehow made them like morph together and like made them stronger, which kind of won them the battle, but not the
combining
war.
Of manly spirits,
exactly
smashing into one another.
And like so, it's kind of funny how that works. And like later on, to kind of jump ahead a little bit, like we get this moment where like Kamina won't let Simon just climb up him to like to eject himself in or whatever.
Because it's lame.
And it
looks stupid.
And he says, like, I think he says something along the lines of like,
it's a beautiful and elegant process.
Yes, it has to be manly. We have to be tough looking, and it has to be cool. You have to come
above all else.
Above all else, we have to look cool. And I'm like, you know what? 100%.
Anything less is tantamount to failure.
Exactly. If we're in a battle, cool factor is a very big factor, I think.
The rule of cool is rule of law.
I mean, come on, man. Episode 5 is I Don't Get It, Not One Bit.
Oh, yeah.
Where they journey. This is the one that I think was cut out of the movie. The compilation movie, I believe. Because I don't remember any of this. I could be wrong, though. But this is the one where it says they journey underground.
Right, they
where
find
society
Rossio and
the
other village.
The humbling existence, the worship of Gundam. gunman. Sorry. I'm sorry.
You fool.
I'm sorry. After leaving the village, Team Gurren is joined by Rosu and the adopted
Gimme and Dari.
Adopted children.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I could be wrong. It's been a long time.
Right, because I mean they're pretty like staple characters,
right? And that's
like,
what I'm saying. But
show.
I don't ever remember how they came about.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's what I was saying. I could be wrong, but like I remember what happens before this, and I remember what happens. The funny thing is, I think it's actually the next 2 episodes, 5 and 6, because 6 is the hot tub episode,
right?
Which we'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember what happens in episode 4 with them, combining all that kind of crazy stuff, and then I remember what happens in 7, which is 4 Divine General, Spiral King arrive. Right.
Some heavy info dumps.
Yeah. They get the first taste of the fortress at episode 7. And
it's just layer upon layer, dude.
And I remember there's a lot of people that end up showing up in episode 7 and I'm like, how do we get here? And I feel like a lot gets skipped out of, which I think is kind of, it's not actually a lot, but it's a few things. Right. So just to kind of touch on that, in episode 5, we do get some more side characters, and we get this really interesting story. And this is what I was talking about by Kamina really feeling like the devil on the shoulder character.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of this is the way we were raised. This is the way we believe. I kind of liked these people for their own safety.
Right. And he completely rejects it.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't understand it whatsoever.
Oh, yeah. And he kind of gets a weird feeling about it. But at the same time, where everyone's talking a certain way, he is just this other character. And it also doesn't help that he's dressed in his father's red cloak,
right,
with these very pointy sunglasses. Yeah. And he's shirtless, and he's just kind of standing beside these people that are dressed more normally. And the fact that they're
very reserved
is what it is. And he's like, yeah, right, you
no
sucker.
way, chief.
There ain't
you
no way.
Want to do something, just do it.
Right. So anyways, it's very interesting and a cool episode, I will say. It's a little bit more, it gets a little bit less wacky in some points, and it gets a little bit more depressing.
Yeah.
And this is the first taste of sadness, I feel like, wink wink, that we get. We get some pretty heavy moments, but it's mostly combated with "Rah, let's do this."
Right.
This is the first time we're they're I don't want to say sacrifice, but they insinuate the fact that someone, quote unquote, gets the opportunity to go to the surface.
Right.
And we all know that to be kind of basically
a death sentence.
A death sentence for these people that have never been on the surface.
Right. In this village, they are
very
not
limited.
Well off at all.
Yeah.
They do not have enough to go around for any more than 50 people.
Yeah.
That's the population cap.
Yes.
That has been instilled in this particular village.
Yeah. And right now they're at 49. And then someone's wife,
3 new babies,
has triplets.
Yeah.
And so they're like, oh shit. Okay. So
over the line.
So now we're at
2
40.
people
We're
gotta go.
at 52. So 2 people got to go.
Yeah.
And so they have this cup that they all pull sticks from and cover up one side that they pull out.
Whoever draws red gets to go.
Yeah, gets the opportunity, gets the privilege to go up to the celestial realm, which is the surface in their religion.
To walk among the gods.
Yes. And these two, and I should have known this, they did a little Chekhov's gun, which I think is great.
Yeah.
They established at the beginning of this episode that these 2 children kind of get away with whatever they want because they're orphans.
And they're spoiled by everybody in the village,
and they're kind
because of it.
And they're the youngest kids in the village as well. So it's they kind of just get whatever. So at the very end, they pulled the last 2, and they're both the ones to be, sacrificed, for lack of a better term. Right. And the funny thing is, our boy Rosu, I think fundamentally knows that. And he's
he's
taken
aback.
He's like, come on, man. And then it kind of comes about later that the head priest kind of staged it, which kind of is even shittier.
Yeah.
And he's like, well,
dire circumstances.
They're adopted. Or, I'm sorry,
they don't have any family.
They don't have any family. They're not adopted. They're just
right. Not many are going to
orphans.
Grieve for them, or at least not for very long.
Right. Whereas everyone else, it seems has a family,
loved ones to worry about.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's again, I'm not saying that it's the right thing, but I understand you got to make hard calls. But the interesting thing is that Rosu like ends up also going with them and is like eventually like he ends up learning about the truth about what the actual like gunmen are and all that kind of stuff. So he's like, you know, it's probably for the best that I just
I have to know. I have to find out for myself.
Yeah. But it's also best for you to kind of prolong this like secret of like what you guys actually worship, and it's best if I leave before I make things worse. Yeah. And I get to go protect these kids. So it's like, okay,
revelation of that magnitude would throw it into complete chaos.
Yes. Which is like, it's just best if you just keep up what you got. Which I'm like, hey, you know what?
It is what it is for now.
You're right. As a leader of people, I'm not going to say lying to them is the best option, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Right.
And so, anyways, I'm with that being said, it's like I said, it's the first kind of taste where we're like, we're kind of dealing with some heavy stuff here.
Some folks just don't got it quite so made.
Yep. And then we have episode 6. Sit in the hot tub till you're sick. Is what it says. The title is.
All right, I'm gonna say right off the bat, this one has very few substantial moments.
Yes.
It is full-on fan service.
Full-on fan service.
Plain and simple. That's all it is.
I will say, and I said this after the episode was done, for a hot tub episode, for an anime, I do think that I've seen worse.
Oh, for sure.
I know there's always worse, but what I'm saying by that is like I actually had an enjoyable time watching this one because there actually was kind of some fun action bits in it.
It's funny.
There was a little bit of development, not a lot. Right.
If there is, it's very shallow.
Yes.
Like it's like a little like 2-second moment and then bam.
And the reason, and I think that they did this strategically, this is a great time to do this. This is fun. This is wacky. It's lighthearted.
Right.
Let's
get some brevity after the fucking downer we had last episode.
A little bit, but also we're about to head into some very heavy stuff. And I think sometimes you got to sandwich that a little bit.
Yeah.
You got some build up, you got some character development. You had this whole like first act of like who our characters are, what is our setting, where are we at, what's going on, what is the rapport between these characters, how is it growing, or not, or whatever. And so you have all that. You kind of deal with some heavy stuff, and you're like, let's throw a little fun, little thing in there.
Just a little stepping stone.
A lot of anime does it. I think a lot of shows do it, and sometimes it can be done well. Sometimes it can be done very poorly.
All in all, you could skip this episode in the grand scheme.
Right. I think that it does add a little bit of funness to it, especially if you're watching them all in order. I do think it'd probably be a little bit heavy. Again, not impossible.
Right.
You can go straight from 5 to 7, and it's not going to kill anything. But I do think it's a little bit fun because 7 really deals with like the coming up of the Dai. What's it called?
The Dai Ganzan.
Dai Ganzan.
We got the next challenger, the next big piece to overthrow.
So again, we've kind of been hearing in the past, like through whispers of like there's like this base that they're like all these other gunmen are coming from,
right. The capital,
right? But we're seeing like it's moving a little bit, so they're like we don't know what's going on, and so we'll learn about that later. But what I will say,
they've been trying to make their way to this position to take the fight to the Beastmen,
right? Oh gosh! Oh no! Gosh, I don't know how to say this. Is that the episode 6 is again, like we said before, is the hot tub episode, and there's like a lot of it is I think kind of controversial because I think a lot of it's cut in like the TV version.
Oh yeah,
there's like there's a whole subplot that involves Kamina attempting to see the girls naked in some way,
right? Which
I think is funny. I think it's crazy. And there are so many I think there's so many moments with Kamina that like really solidify his like man,
choose your words carefully.
His very crazy personality.
Oh, for sure.
And there's one moment in particular that I think of that is so funny because it really he's really a man at heart. His horniness knows no bounds.
Lecherous, I would go so far as to say.
And I can't blame him But like, there's this one moment in particular where like there's actually like a mosaic censorship on like this like display,
Right,
and the main antagonist of this episode is like,
give yourself up, and I'll take away the fuzzy bar.
If you were to get out of Gurren,
and give yourself up.
Yeah, I will take away the censorship. And there's a moment where he apologizes,
right,
and then
forgive me, and he fucking does it.
He says you'll have to fight this one out,
right,
Simone. And then of course like disengages Lagann, and straight up hops out, and he's like, "All right, I'm here.
Do it."
And everyone's like, "Wait, what?
Excuse me?"
Yeah, and I just like, I think it's funny, and I had a great time with this episode. I think it was a lot of fun. But as we said,
laughs.
But as we said before, episode 7 is we're dealing with finding this whole walking fortress.
We're introduced to the first of the 4 great generals that work under the now named Spiral King.
Yes. And there's some great back and forth that goes on with this. And this is the one time again where I would say there's some foreshadowing happening in episode 7. Where Kamina really like pushes himself.
Oh yeah,
and almost gets both Simone and him killed
more than a few times,
right? Because he's kind of pushing himself too hard.
And this has been a constant in most of their bouts, within reason,
right?
But I mean, he sees this thing and is like,
he's seeing red.
I'm gonna beat you into the ground,
right? And
everyone else is like, man, we gotta take a step back now, okay?
Yeah.
And he's like, nah, it ain't happening.
Yeah,
that ain't
I don't
me.
run away.
Right. And so, after being damaged a bit during this little scuffle they have with this giant ass overland battleship,
yeah,
he pushes himself hard enough. He's like constantly being talked to about like retreating or giving up or just backing down, and he's like, nuh-uh. And he nuh-uhs hard enough to just negate the damage that's been done to
100%.
Gurren Lagann.
Correct.
Like full-on regeneration of parts.
Right.
And so it's
temporarily.
Like, I mean,
all right.
Yeah. You got something going on, that's for sure.
There's this great moment where like he finally is able to encourage Simone enough where Simone's like, let go of the controls and let me take care of this and I'll get it.
I got a plan.
Yeah. And then he trusts him, and he does. And he ends up getting this this big old battleship.
Yeah, leads it on a goose chase.
Yep, and throws it into a ravine
to the cliff edge. Down below.
And then there's like I said before, there's a lot of foreshadowing with like, or at least what doesn't seem like foreshadowing at the time, but it is. Like there's a lot of them, or specifically Yoko, being like, you really. You gotta chill out.
You're fucking crazy.
You're crazy.
Okay.
And like you're really gonna. It's one thing to like do your own thing, but like you almost got both you and Simone killed. Like it's kind of irresponsible.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was episode 7 saying you're gonna do it, and then episode 8 is later, buddy.
Oh,
and
God.
Yeah, what a title! And it says they end up gathering all their buddies.
They get some new recruits.
From all the different villages and things they're a part of. A lot of the buddies they kind of made across the way.
Oh yeah,
all come with them.
And the black siblings.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
2 of my personal favorites, Jorgun and Balenbo.
Yes.
The 2 twins.
Yes.
That pilot a tandem gunman.
Right.
2 cockpits. But man, it's I love the now established gang of ragtag rebels.
Yeah,
that thankfully remain a constant.
Yes,
but it's the beginnings of a stir. Like this is just another starting point,
right? And then like as it kind of progresses, like there's more talks of like you have to be careful because like now you got a lot of people that are like talking about Kamina. They're like you got to be careful because you got like a lot of people who have expectations for you now.
They
like,
believe in you.
They believe in you, and like you can't just like throw your life away because like
who's going to lead us then? Right?
Exactly. We kind of need you to like help us push forward.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are episode 8 so far is my favorite.
Yeah.
It is the first time I think we're kind of approaching time. Speaking of time, is that it's the first like real moment of. I mean, I don't want to say that. It's the first heavy moment of the show.
Yeah,
we may have had tastes of that in the previous ones where it kind of deals with some like, ooh, that's kind of tough.
Mm-hmm.
You had some funny moments. You had some great moments. You had like all those, like all those first episodes that really helped build out
sick ass fights.
Oh yeah, all the great stuff. And like this is the first time we're like now we're starting to see a bigger picture, and I think they're doing a great job with the weird and interesting love triangle, which I never quite like them. It always kind of feels a bit
messy
and weird and contrived or whatever. And like I don't, and so like so in this context, you have Yoko, young woman,
right,
probably about the same age as Kamida. If I was to make an assumption,
if not a little younger, maybe.
Yeah, again, same age bracket,
right?
As opposed to Simone, who is like very obviously like a handful of years younger than Yoko, right. And I think that she, at the beginning of the show, kind of has this like maybe Kamida's pretty interesting, but as the show progresses and kind of gets to see how much of a blockhead he is sometimes,
right?
She kind of, again, from what we see as the audience, she kind of gets a little turned off by him and his kind of arrogance and his
antics,
whatever. But I think there's like this, but I think she's still growing on him in a way. And then as that's progressing, there's also this like, you can tell that Simone really has feelings for Yoko in a special way.
A little crush.
And it reminds me so much of like what it was like for me to be like a little teenage, like a little young boy or like an early teenage boy, into like there were some at the time older girls, probably still in high school. Like I was in middle school, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's an older woman. Yeah, exactly. And again, so the fact that like they may look at me and think I was cute, or they may like say like, oh, you're really special or really cool or whatever.
Right.
Like I was like, oh my god, I'm
in.
I'm so infatuated.
Right.
And so it feels like that, where it feels like kind of, I don't want to say childish love, but it feels like that, like where he's kind of infatuated with her for justifiable reasons.
Right.
And then she kind of reciprocates that in her own way, where I don't think she's
it comes off more sisterly than anything.
Yes. I think that she really does care about him and does think that he's special.
Like she would for a younger sibling.
Right. And so that comes across in that kind of context that way, that she's kind of being friendly and very nice to him. And I think that that's kind of a special thing. And I'm saying all that to say that there's this very special moment in this episode 8, where like everything is getting very real.
Right. They got a plan set up to take over this battleship.
We ride at dawn type shit.
Oh yeah.
And Yoko goes to go talk to Simone and like gives him some sort of hot tea or soup or whatever.
Right.
And is like, kind of just talking with him, and and he kind of feels this kind of special moment, and she begins to like ask him something, and then kind of stops herself.
Yeah.
And I think we were to assume, coming from Simone's perspective, that like she was going to say something about him, but I think in the grand scheme of things, she was going to probably ask about Kamina.
Yeah, probably.
And
after she stops herself, he is about to say something.
Yes.
Which I can only assume was going to be some sort of confession.
Yes.
But not before he is interrupted by the volcanic eruption.
Yes.
That is taking place in the background right now.
There's like 3 or 4 different volcanoes that are like actively erupting. And
on which Yoko then explains what a volcano is.
Yeah.
Like a science lesson.
Right.
And Simone draws the parallel that a volcano is pretty similar to a certain blockhead.
Yeah, right. And she's like, you know what? He said the same thing.
Yeah, about himself.
Yeah. And anyways, so again, there's this really special moment at night. Again, it's the preparation for the battle the next day.
The eve.
Yes. And then there's this really special moment where, you want to talk about foreshadowing.
Yeah.
There's this really special moment where Kamina is on this cliffside and Yoko comes up and they're having this like this little brief moment, this little interaction that they're kind of talking back and forth. And he's like, as long I'll protect you in the front, as long as you watch out for my back.
Right.
And then as he like kind of turns around, she kisses him. And then she's like, your biggest blind spot is always right behind you.
Right.
And I thought that was such a, I mean, I may be thinking too deeply into this, but I like to think too deeply about films and movie and dialogue, because you want to talk about, he's not aware. He's too much of a blockhead to really he can't perceive things. He didn't pick up on
He also just doesn't look back.
Right.
Actively says so at one point.
Yes. And so whenever she says, your biggest blind spot is behind you, I was like, ooh, what good, especially because she's sitting right behind him. I was like, you can talk about some riz.
Yeah.
The fact that like she's always there kind of behind him and like always has his back, and he probably never really pays attention. The fact that she's there and the fact that she has feelings for him. I was like, I'm probably reading too much into this, but the fact that she's like, I am your biggest blind spot. You don't recognize me and how much I really care about you and how much I'm really here for you. And I was like, oh shit, that's good. And so then I know, damn, Yoko really be the one.
Right.
But then he ends up like turning around and facing her. And then like they have like this really intimate moment.
Oh yeah.
And it's very special. And then he ends up saying, I'm going to repay you for this.
10 times over.
10 times over, I'm going to repay you for this kindness of this kiss that you've given me.
Right.
And she makes a joke about how, like, you could have probably said that more romantically. And I was like, do you know who you're talking to, first of all? Impossible. That was about as romantic as you're going to get.
Can't be done,
and
sister,
I think you just need
to...
And this is where the true heartbreak sets in, is that Simone was in the shrubs and the
just so
sidelines,
happened to eavesdrop on the situation,
and it crushes him.
Yep.
Because at this point, you realize that he really has feelings for her, and I think that she is being supportive and being very nice to him because she believes in him, and I think she really does like him, but not like in a romantic sense, and like I think you're going to be a great man one day, kind of sense.
Right.
And
he is crushed.
His soul is crushed.
In tatters.
And as we have already, and this is what I say is great, as we've already established, Lagann works off of your emotions.
Influenced heavily.
And if you are not locked in, it is not going to work with you. And so, and again, we're at the eve of a battle. And so it's like, oh shit.
A tide turning event.
Yes. We're into some real stuff here. And so, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The show is great. This is that moment where you're like, everything clicks.
Yeah. This is either going to make it or break it for you.
This is where everything clicks into place. We're like, again, we get the setting, we get the bad guys, we know who our like main bad guys right now we're dealing with. We got the officers, we got the lackeys, we got all of our buddies here with us.
Right.
We have a plan. We now have this love triangle moment. We have this like confession of feelings. We got some foreshadowing happening.
Right.
With like the whole like, don't go crazy because you're going to probably kill all of us kind of vibe. So it's
everything is about to come to a head.
Oh yeah, and again, it's all locking in because we get these little tidbits on the previous episode, us little and big tidbits to like have given us like Lagann specifically really works off of his emotions.
Right.
And if he's scared and he's not locked in, you know, sometimes he needs someone to look him in the face and be like, I believe in the you that I believe in.
Right.
And like that kind of shit. And he's like, okay, and then he locks in. So the fact that like he then goes to run off to Lagann and like curls up in the fetal position and he's like, it's none of my business. It's none of my business.
Right.
It's like, and he's just repeating it to himself, like no matter what is going on with her, it's none of my business. Like it
hits him hard.
And it's like, ooh man, you can just tell he's a young boy in love. and he's heartbroken.
Thrown out of whack at the worst possible time.
Oh, man. And you're like, okay.
Let's see how it goes.
You know how this is going to pan out.
Mm-hmm.
Something's going to catch.
Right. And it does.
Oh, yeah. Because, again, we get these, and this is what I'm talking about all these previous episodes. All these little funny episodes, too.
Mm-hmm.
All these little funny gag episodes, these little goofy nonsense.
Nothing but fluff.
We get... You say that, but like we get these very
nuggets.
Very brief, very quick flashbacks to all these really wacky, really fun moments that have meant a lot to Simone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about Yoko.
Right.
And it's all these moments, and you're like, oh man,
yep.
All these kind gestures she's done, all these things, and it's like the reason why I think I'm feeling this way is because I've been in that position.
Oh yeah.
A little bit. Like I have been a 13-year-old boy interested in a girl who's probably 3 or 4 or 5 years older than me.
Right. Who's just being nice.
Who is being nice.
And you think
who's being polite.
Yeah.
And she may have a boyfriend or find a boyfriend at the time, which is very normal.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of replaying. I'm overthinking these kind gestures in my head, and I feel heartbroken, even though like we probably never really had
there was
chance.
nothing really there to
right, but it doesn't. But it doesn't make the hurt any less.
Right.
You know, so I think that's what I'm saying is like it feels so like, oh man, buddy, I get
feel
it.
You.
It sucks.
Yeah,
life
but
sucks sometimes. But it is what it is, Chief.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also
just got to keep rowing.
But I've never had to fight a battle afterwards, so so I've never had to do that before.
Can't relate to you there, bro. But best of luck to you. Don't fuck it up.
Yeah. So anyways,
Simone fucks it up.
Well, hey. So to kind of wrap this portion up really quick is
my favorite is the build up to this scene, dude. After they start their assault, Kamina is now fighting on his own against Viral and holding his own.
Yes,
he's gotten better. He can duke it out with the best of them now.
The guys we talked about, the guys we saw at the very beginning, these little cannon fodder guys are like actually kind of becoming like these like little throwaway enemies that are actually able to like to conquer and take care of. So again, like that's what I mean by like the progression. Even in just 8 episodes, you're like, okay, so like these guys are now like
a force to be reckoned with.
Good enough now that like these guys that were a challenge, they're like absolutely obliterating.
Oh yeah, they're fighting fire with fire now.
Yeah.
So upon realizing this, Vila was like, "Where the fuck is your head?"
Right.
And he's like, "Funny you should mention that." So after which he gives the signal for Lagann to do the deed and take control of the Daiganzan.
Yeah.
Which initially starts off pretty okay.
Yep.
He's able to land like right on top of the motherfucker, starts the takeover process. But it's not quite going as smoothly as he would have liked.
Not quite locked in.
Right. So Liron has like an uplink with readouts for these two gunmen, Kamina's and Simone's. And the funniest thing to me is that the diagrams for these things are so like eerily accurate to what's happening.
Yeah.
Because on the diagram for Lagann, it shows the spiral power like not quite fluctuating the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
It's not like spreading out throughout the entire battleship like it should.
Yeah.
And it pops up with this little icon of like a bust of like a silhouette of Simone.
Yeah.
And it shows his little heart.
It's broken. Yeah.
And man, it's so fucking funny.
It's like his heart's not quite in it.
What the fuck? Yeah. So
and I think Rosu is like he's like maybe he's going through something.
Right. And something's going on.
And then we immediately smash cut to him like sitting there like, come on, why isn't it working? And then and then he has more of those flashbacks of Yoko, and he's like, why
is that stopping me?
Why is that stopping me? And it's like, oh man.
So Kamina immediately is like, okay, I gotta go take care of my brother. You guys hold these fuckers off. And he books it like to the deck of the battleship, runs up the main bridge,
exits the cockpit,
exits, is thrown out, launches himself. he falls toward Lagann, lands on top of the hatch, and is like, Simon, open the fuck up, bro.
Yeah.
And he opens it up.
Square up.
Immediately is like, let's see you grit those teeth, and nails him with a fucking haymaker.
Punches him in the face. Wild.
Right. After which Simon is like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
And he's like, you son of a bitch.
I need you.
If you ever start to doubt yourself, I'm going to come and belt you one.
Yeah. I'm going to beat your ass one good time until you believe in the
Knock
you
some sense
that
into
I
you.
believe in.
Mm-hmm. And it works.
It works.
He's whipped into shape right away.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And then...
the giant ape man that is the general over this ship
Right.
has his own separate gunman that he gets into.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where the downfall happens.
Yep.
Kamina goes back into Gurren.
Mm-hmm. And as he turns to continue the battle, he is pierced.
Yep.
Sliced just about down the middle.
Yeah.
From below after, I can't remember the fucker's name.
Me either.
Templeth, I think.
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
Right. He launches from inside the Daigonzan and just obliterates Kamina.
Yeah.
Like, he is not only, like, launched into the air, but Viral is able to grab him midair, hold him steady while Templeth, like, straight up skewers him like a fish.
Yeah.
And he's, like, down for the count.
They start wailing on him. And it gets pretty bad.
Oh, yeah.
Enough to where, like, he even, like, passes out and, like, they lose vital signs on him.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, holy
shit. They start freaking out. Like, oh, my God, they killed him.
Yeah. And so, and that's when, like, Simon, like, has that moment where, like, he locks in and, like, takes over control of the big battle cruiser, Daigonzan.
Yeah.
But
Only
then, like,
to absolutely go berserk.
Yes, but then, like,
immediately.
But again, he goes too far and then loses all control of it, and it's like, oh shit.
Yeah. It's all going wrong.
Yeah, it's all going wrong. Everything is upside down. And then there's this moment where there's still some life left in.
Right. Everybody's freaking out over the comms, and he wakes up.
I love the first line. He wakes from being dead. Let's be honest. He wakes up from being dead a little bit. And he's like, and they're all like panicking and yelling over the comms. He's like, man, can a guy
get a little sleep around
and I was like, bruh, you don't need to be sleeping right now.
Right.
You got a concussion, man. You shouldn't be sleeping at all.
You're actively bleeding out.
Dead.
Yeah.
But then there's this moment where he leaves the Daigonzan and connects back with Gurren.
And he straight up throws his arm.
Yes.
Like a rocket punch.
Yes.
Toward Lagann.
Yep.
And knocks some fucking sense back into the boy.
Right.
Again.
Yep.
And from then on, it's the second wind.
Oh, yeah.
The final bout, dude, with this fucking general.
And I love that they do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really just like he dies without any kind of participation.
Right. Unceremoniously.
Yes. He really gets to go out with a fight, and I love that.
With their first use of a Giga drill break.
Oh, my God. It's so cool.
The finishing move, dude.
The finishing move.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful.
Absolutely tears through the general's suit.
Oh, yeah.
Making him explode. And then as they like land Gurren Lagann, the combination suit, what does he say exactly? He says, "Good luck, buddy."
He says, "Later, buddy."
Later, buddy. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's the name of the episode.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah.
He says, "Later, buddy," and of course,
and that's it.
Simon's like, "What was that, brother?"
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't quite catch it, and then he passes on.
Yep.
That was the end of the second wind, and there he was.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this. Oh my gosh! There's this beautiful. It's beautifully tragic when I say this.
Yeah.
There's this beautiful sequence where like everything's raining, and you hear the rain, you hear music, and you see stills of like the cockpit of Gurren like opened up, and you see just like
Kamina slumped over.
Right. And then it cuts to Yoko standing in the rain, and she has like the like water trails like falling down her like her body and face and all that.
Right.
But like the the two that are accentuated are the ones down by her eyes, where like the tears are flowing down, and she's just like standing there looking at him, crying, and then it cuts to the third still that it cuts to is Simon on his hands and knees, like fists hitting against the ground, and like mouth open, just like screaming.
Oh yeah,
and it's like and again, just the sound of music and rain. Like you don't have to. That's all the context you need.
Yep,
is just seeing these little stills of like. You don't need to. That's all the context you need.
We have entered the dark era.
We have entered the dark ages, and Simon's character design from then on is so good. He has these massive bags under his eyes.
Oh yeah, completely
he has
dejected.
Dude. Whenever he gets riled up at all, he has these like massive, crazy eyes, big circle eyes, little pupils.
Oh yeah,
and it's like, man, he's going through it.
Yeah,
justifiably. We ended up watching 1 through 9.
Yes.
And so 9 is like the first kind of taste that we get.
The aftermath of
it. Where it's like he's lashing out. There's still...
Just in a rotten mood.
There's more beastmen in their gunmen trying to come out and kind of take back...
constant attack.
Justifiably. Again, like in their context, like again, they just lost one of their like big capital ships. Like they're trying actively to get it back.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. And then we get this really weird. Well, before I get to that, everyone kind of is like mourning Kamina in like a very interesting way. Like there's a lot of people that like don't know him quite as well. They're trying to like have a power struggle for who's going to be in charge.
At this point, it's been a week since he died.
Yes. There's this interesting moment where like Yoko's in the shower and she's like, "Oh man, there's so many crazy moments where like she's more quiet or like angry in certain circumstances." Stern. But like the first time you see her like really sad is in this like shower scene where she's like, "You promised you were going to return that kiss 10 times, and now all you've done is left me with an even bigger hole in my heart." And it's like, oh man, oh man,
shit hurts.
And it's I forgot this happened so soon. I thought this happened like farther along in the series, but here we are, episode 8, and I'm like, oh man, you gotta feel that weight.
Oh yeah.
And in episode 9, as everyone's kind of mourning all their stuff, there's this like moment where like Simon is like actively losing control of Lagann.
Right.
It just like he
suffers an energy backflow.
Yes.
And he's unable to control it properly anymore.
Every time the energy increases for it, it just like expels itself from him in some like crazy, burst of emotion, which I think is very symbolic as well.
Makes himself sick.
Right. Which is, again, I think very interesting and, like I said, symbolic for like what he's actually going through. Every time he tries to like gather up the emotion to like do this thing, it just like flows out of him and just this like,
it ain't healthy.
Expressive emotion. But in like a weird turn of events, after falling off of a cliff, he notices a gunman throw a capsule into a deep valley, which I don't understand where he's at or why that whole interaction happened. Like, why are they throwing trash in this like valley? I don't get what's kind of going on with that. I think I understand now why. I think the second you said that, I think I remember something in the compilation movie talking about that.
Right.
I think I said the very same thing. Sorry, we'll get there. It's been a long time since I said this.
Right. Just gotta knock the rust off.
Yeah. Simon inspects it to find that he is able to open it with the same drill key that he uses to pilot Lagann. And inside of it is a young human girl named Nia.
Yep.
But their introduction is cut short by a horse-faced gunman who appears. And then in this moment, again, they all get back to the Daiganzan, the big battleship, and people are kind of interested in who and what she is and what's going on, because she looks like a human, but her eyes are all different and screwy. And she kind of has like memory loss, but then the second
she's never seen another human being before. She's never
Right.
been outside of wherever her home is.
Yes. And then whenever the second general arrives to kind of try and take back this ship, yeah. Nia comes like busting out there and is like, "I am the princess to the king of the spiral."
Right. And everybody's like, fucking
yeah. Excuse me, bitch.
Right.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's interesting, and that's where it cuts.
Right.
And that's where we are right now. This episode has gone on for much longer than I was expecting it to.
Right.
But to be honest, we're talking about Gurren Lagann, dude, and I'm excited.
Me too.
And it's been so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited that we are tackling this show
finally,
and I can't wait for the next 9 episodes.
Oh yeah.
For those of you at home that want to follow along with us, as we said before at the beginning, this part 1 is episodes 1 through 9.
Mm-hmm.
Part 2 will probably be, to follow that same method, it's going to be 10 through 18.
If we remain hopeful.
I think we are, though. 10 through 18, and then part 3 will be 19 through 27.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be, if you want to follow along, you want to join us, you want to watch it, you want to kind of kick back and see the rest of already see this episode that hopefully many of you have watched, and if not, you definitely should.
Mm-hmm. This is a series you do not want to miss out on.
I'm so happy we're doing this.
Me too.
It's been a long time coming since you and I have watched the full series, because I've never done it before.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, I appreciate you guys all for tuning into the show and letting us, facilitating us to doing this for another week.
Despite it all.
And, yeah. If you guys want to try and keep in touch with us, we have the comment sections on Spotify and on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe, like the videos, like the episodes, all that kind of stuff. You know where to find us. At Hindsight Studios on YouTube, if you want to do that. Aftermath Podcast. Until next week. Before we do that, be sure to believe in the you that I believe in.
Yeah.
And until next week,
see you.
Bye-bye.